What is going on, my friends? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be starting off the day with fixing my paint job from the paint booth. I know it's able to be fixed because before I jumped into this video, I did some testing and let me show you guys what I figured out. So here is how the paint looks right out of the booth. There's a little bit of like dust and stuff on it, but all that white stuff is just chilling in the clear. Very rough looking. That's all fallout, I'm calling it, from the paint booth from when I painted the Evo 10 parts. And it was very, very windy. It was just blowing all the stuff around. And now here is how it looks, wet sanded and polished. So I wet sanded and I got 99% of the white specks out. There's still a couple tiny little ones. Honestly, you guys probably will never be able to see them, but I'm very happy with how it turned out. I was initially planning on respraying it, but with how good it turned out, there's no point. Firewall did turn out very, very nice. There is a little bit of buffing compound overspray on the firewall. But let's get the scene in the shop and I'm gonna show you guys how I go from this. I gotta show you guys under a flashlight to show you how bad it really is, but how I go from this to that. All right, here's a before. That is absolutely disgusting. And here's an after. That's just buffed out, just stage one. Not polished yet, so it is gonna look better than that. But let's go ahead and tackle this side. I am sanding the whole entire tub and frame rail down with 1500 grit. Just here, wet with a soft block. Sand it all down till there's no orange peel left, till there's none of the white specks left, and then we can move on to buffing it out. A lot of the buffing around the shock tower does have to be done just by hand, which kind of sucks, but it's well worth it. So we need to sand until the whole entire tub, inside and frame rail, all look completely flat like it does right here. No orange peel. These little circles you guys see, that's where the white shit is, for lack of a better term. I am going to stop sanding here. You can still see a couple little shiny dots. Granted, there are 3 coats of clear on. I could probably go a little bit deeper, but the last thing I want to do is burn through. So this is fully sanded down. Got around the shock tower sanded down, that area. And then the whole inside, including the frame rail, even though no one's gonna see it. And I never did show you guys, but here's the final result of the seam sealer that we did. It looks much better than that janky weld that I had on here. Much better, much, much better. So we gotta polish this out and then our paint job is good to go, repaired. Moving right along to buffing and polishing this thing out. So we have this little, I think it's a 3-inch pad on my mini DA polisher. I'll be running some Blue Adams compound. We can get about 90% of it with this, but all these little areas like up in here, we're just gonna have to finger polish with a microfiber, which is a pain in the ass, but to make it look perfect, it's gotta be done. All right, I'm gonna call that good on engine bay polishing. Of course, the firewall doesn't look as good as the tubs do now, but it is what it is. Polishing that would be a joke. We need to go ahead and get everything reinstalled. All the wiring, the ABS pump, the fuse box, everything that we had to remove in the fender wells, get all that back on, get everything unmasked, and get it all buttoned up once and for all. Just got all the brake lines cleanly routed. So from there, it goes to the rear. That one jumps over, that's for the driver's side. This guy here is for the, of course, the passenger side front. Unfortunately, I cannot plug in and finish the wiring. Here is the remainder of our ABS pump. I didn't get it on camera, it was pretty wild. We were pushing this car in, jack was on that guy, just got finished respraying it, and it hit a little rock or something out there, and the car slid off the jack and fell on the ground, destroyed the ABS pump. Thankfully, that's the only thing it destroyed. Everything else was fine, and it was a pretty big hit, and it didn't crack out any of our filler, which I suppose is a good thing. So now that we're done with brake lines, let's move on. Ran up the fuel lines to roughly where they need to be, and then I went ahead and got the booster, the brake booster, and the clutch master installed. I need to find some good places to mount these three goodies. Here's our Fuel Lab pressure regulator, electronic boost controller, and a flex fuel sensor. I have a good idea where I want to put these two guys. They're going to be hidden and out of the way, and you won't be able to see them at all. This guy, of course, we do need a monitor, so this is most likely gonna go right back here, right on the firewall. Looks like a pretty good spot for it. I like it, let's do it. So mounted up yonder, we have our flex fuel sensor, and then back here is our 3-port EBCS. We do need to have some sort of hole over here for the fuel line to go to the flex fuel, but then that line runs through, pops out that hole, right into the regulator, comes out the regulator to the fuel tanks. EBCS, that'll be very easy to plumb. I'll just come out of these same holes, run down to the turb ski, which sits right here. So those three things, flex, EBCS, regulator, all complete, finished up, and it looks so much cleaner. EBCS used to sit on the motor mount. Flex fuel used to sit right there. This guy used to sit over here, but now it's just nice and clean. This is the stuff I really enjoy. Got to plan ahead a little bit, but this is like when people say attention to detail, this is what I imagine, like trying to make sure every little thing that goes on the car is not only in mint condition, but on a custom build is placed in the right location. One more thing I decided to run up top are these two lines right here. Now one does need to be replaced from when this thing fell off the jack and it squished one of the lines. But the two that run up to the brake master cylinder, now instead of on the firewall, they run up along with this harness, pop into this cowl area, run over, made a little hole for a grommet, and pop down to the master. So clean. If you guys are trying to do nice engine bay stuff and you're not utilizing all of this space up here, keep in mind you do need space for the wiper motor, which on this car just sits over here, but there's so much free space up here, it is ridiculous. This engine bay is pretty much full of everything that's going to be in there, besides of course the engine and the engine wiring harness. There's no other wiring that's going in here. I am going to put a hole and a grommet right here, and that is where the wiring for the EPS is going to come through. It's going to come through here now instead of running right there. That'll be a little bit cleaner. So like I said, this is everything that's going in the bay besides the engine and the trans and the engine harness. All right, did a couple more things up here. Added a grommet on the fuel line just to make sure we don't have random water draining down. I should go with that hole there. Now, let's just make sure this guy still fits. Yes, indeed, she does. The next logical step in getting this thing back together and back running is, of course, to build the engine, but I don't have nearly enough time today and I don't have quite the parts to get this thing back together. So what I'm gonna finish off the day with is just doing a bunch of fixes. So some of these motor mounts had to be trimmed up. That needs to be repowder coated. This one needs to be trimmed. I'm gonna beef it up a little bit. I need to plate the sides like I did with this one. This one needs the sides plated. As you guys can see, that's why you need to plate the sides, because this aluminum bushing, it doesn't go all the way through. So when you clamp it down, it actually pulls these ears in. That needs to be repowder coated. That needs to be coated. This is a fuse box mount. That needs to be coated. And this is the catch can. That needs to be recoated as well. So let's run through, get everything stripped, do the little bit of fab work stuff that we need to do, and recoat all the stuff splatter black. Decided to add a couple other parts to the mix as well that we had to do that I almost forgot about. So we have in total the drive shaft hoop, little VTEC solenoid cover thing, fuse box mount, both viscous coupler mounts, 3 motor mounts, intercooler pipe, and the catch can. All this stuff turned out extremely, it was perfect. Still is perfect. Very excited with how everything turned out. All this is splatter black from Prismatic Powders, the best color in the world, which I'll go ahead and link down below. Let's get this, I guess the only thing we could put on right now is the fuse box mount, but hey, that's something. Let's get it installed and see how the fuse box will sit. Alrighty boys, I'm gonna wrap up the video right here. I hope you guys enjoyed. Drop a comment and let me know what you think of how the bay's looking. Pretty stoked. And here's another shot. Tubs turned out really, really nice with the paint job that we were given. And I'm very happy with the placement of everything in the bay so far. Let me know what you think. Peace out, my homies. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.